We have 8 new SUVs coming out next year that are going to either be all new or refreshed.
Catastrophic engine failure. Right after you drive your brand new truck off the lot. It sounds unreal, but that's exactly what's happening to hundreds of thousands of General Motors customers. Over 877,000 General Motors vehicles, including popular models like the Silverado, Yukon, and Escalade, are under federal investigation due to catastrophic engine failures. But what's really causing this chaos? Could it be GM's controversial active fuel management system? Is there a larger industry-wide issue with reliability? And most importantly, how will GM handle this growing crisis? Stick around because what we reveal next might change how you view your next car purchase. What's happening? General Motors is facing a crisis that has left both its customers and the automotive industry in shock. Over 877,000 vehicles equipped with GM's flagship LE87 6.2-liter and 5.3-liter V8 engines are under federal investigation for catastrophic engine failures. The issue is so severe that the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has intervened. The affected models include popular SUVs and trucks like the Silverado, Suburban, Yukon, Escalade, and Tahoe, all manufactured between 2019 and 2024. These engine failures are not isolated incidents. Reports reveal that many GM owners experienced complete engine shutdowns with no prior warning. Some engines failed within mere months of purchasing brand new vehicles, leaving customers stranded in dangerous traffic conditions. Complaints filed with NHTSA highlight cases where engines seized up suddenly, risking fatal accidents due to loss of control. Customers expected reliability from a brand with a long history of producing tough vehicles. Instead, they were met with expensive mechanical failures and safety hazards. What triggered these engine failures? Early assessments point to significant flaws in the engine's core design, compounded by issues with critical components like lifters and bearings. GM, which has prided itself on engineering prowess for decades, now finds itself under intense scrutiny as regulators investigate the depth of the problem. To understand the root cause of these engine failures, let's talk about the controversial technology at the heart of GM's V8 engines. The technology behind for the failure. The reason for these catastrophic engine failures largely falls on GM's active fuel management and dynamic fuel management systems. These technologies were developed to improve fuel efficiency by temporarily deactivating certain cylinders when full engine power is not needed. On paper, this innovation promised lower fuel consumption and compliance with stringent emission standards. However, in practice, it has caused severe reliability issues. Cylinder deactivation reduces fuel consumption, but at the cost of increased mechanical stress on inactive components. Reports suggest that this technology disrupts oil distribution within the engine, leading to oil starvation, a condition where essential engine parts are deprived of lubrication. Over time, this can cause bearings to overheat, seize up, and ultimately fail. Once the bearings fail, other critical parts, such as connecting rods, can breach the engine block, causing catastrophic damage. Experts and longtime industry insiders have warned about AFM and similar technologies for years. Many argue that the push to meet government-mandated fuel economy standards has forced automakers to prioritize efficiency over durability, while competitors like Toyota and Ford have faced their own technical challenges with modern engines. GM's widespread engine failures suggest a deeper flaw in their implementation of fuel-saving technologies. This controversy has raised an important question. Are fuel-saving technologies like AFM worth the trade-off in long-term reliability? With thousands of customers now dealing with costly repairs, GM faces mounting pressure to find a solution and either overhaul or abandon these systems entirely. As the investigation continues, the human impact of these mechanical failures cannot be ignored. Impact on owners and safety risks. The real tragedy of GM's engine crisis lies in the experiences of everyday customers. Many owners have shared harrowing stories of their vehicles breaking down at the worst possible moments. Imagine driving on a busy highway when your engine suddenly stalls, leaving you unable to accelerate or steer properly. For many GM owners, this nightmare has become a reality. Take, for example, a Silverado owner who reported that their engine failed after just 33,000 miles. With no warning signs, the vehicle's engine seized, forcing them to pull over and call for emergency assistance. Another driver described how their 2019 Tahoe experienced total engine failure within 3 months of purchase. Despite fighting with the dealership for months, they were forced to pay out of pocket for a replacement engine after their warranty expired. Beyond the immediate safety risks, these engine failures carry significant financial consequences. The cost of replacing a failed V8 engine can exceed $20,000, especially if the issue occurs after the warranty period. Even when warranties cover the repairs, the inconvenience of losing access to a primary vehicle for weeks or even months adds to the frustration. Many GM owners feel betrayed by a company they once trusted to deliver dependable vehicles. The emotional toll is equally severe. Social media platforms and automotive forums have become support networks for affected customers. In these online spaces, people share their experiences, offer advice on navigating repairs, and vent their anger over GM's perceived lack of accountability. Some have even formed advocacy groups to push for legal action and greater regulatory oversight. With pressure mounting from both regulators and customers, GM must prepare for potential legal consequences that could further escalate the crisis. NHTSA investigation and legal consequences. The involvement of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration marks a turning point in GM's engine crisis. The federal agency has launched a preliminary investigation into the engine failures, signaling that public safety is at serious risk. While automakers often face technical service bulletins to address recurring issues, an NHTSA investigation carries far greater weight. Depending on the findings, GM could be forced to issue a recall affecting nearly 900,000 vehicles. A large-scale recall would be a logistical and financial nightmare for GM. Recalls are expensive, costing billions of dollars in labor, parts, and lost sales. Moreover, they can significantly damage a brand's reputation. Just look at Volkswagen's emissions scandal, which resulted in tens of billions of dollars in fines, settlements, and lost market share. GM now faces a similar risk, particularly if the investigation reveals evidence of negligence or poor quality control. Customers affected by these engine failures are also exploring legal options. Class action lawsuits against GM are gaining traction, with plaintiffs accusing the company of knowing about the lifter and bearing defects for years without taking proper action. Internal documents obtained through discovery could expose whether GM tried to minimize or hide the issue to avoid costly recalls. If proven, such revelations would further erode public trust in the company. Amid these legal and regulatory challenges, GM executives are working to contain the fallout. The company has issued public statements promising to cooperate with the investigation and improve its quality control processes. However, critics argue that these efforts are too little, too late. For many customers, the damage is already done, and it will take more than promises to restore their faith in GM. With regulators, lawsuits, and customers demanding accountability, GM is scrambling to prevent this disaster from spiraling further out of control. But what comes next? Worker sentiment and internal morale. The struggles at GM extend beyond consumer complaints, reaching deep into the company's manufacturing workforce. Discontent is growing among workers in key plants, especially those involved in V8 engine production. Many employees feel that corporate pressure to increase production speed has compromised quality control, leading to repeated engine issues. For these workers, the pride in producing reliable engines, once a hallmark of GM, is being eroded by policies they believe prioritize short-term profits over long-term stability. In recent years, GM's relationship with labor unions has faced increased tension. Past disputes with the United Auto Workers Union culminated in strikes that disrupted production for weeks. These strikes were fueled by demands for better wages, improved working conditions, and guarantees against further job cuts. With engine defects now in the spotlight, workers are concerned that blame for production errors might unfairly fall on them rather than management's rushed policies. Union leaders have warned that further labor unrest may be on the horizon if GM does not address the root causes of worker dissatisfaction. If such disruptions occur, the company's ability to meet both domestic and international demand will be compromised, delaying recovery efforts and deepening the crisis. As labor relations remain a critical factor in production, GM also faces a rapidly shifting consumer landscape that demands both reliability and innovation. Shifting consumer expectations in a competitive market. In today's market, automakers can no longer rely solely on brand loyalty. Consumers armed with instant access to reviews and user experiences via the internet are less forgiving of mechanical failures than ever before. GM's engine failure crisis has sparked a wave of backlash on forums, social media, and video platforms. Frustrated Silverado and Tahoe owners have shared viral stories of engine breakdowns, influencing potential buyers and damaging GM's reputation. Brands like Toyota and Ford are seizing the opportunity to present themselves as more reliable alternatives. Toyota, long recognized for its dependability, has launched marketing campaigns emphasizing the durability of its hybrid and truck models. Meanwhile, Ford is aggressively promoting improvements in its F-Series trucks, highlighting technological enhancements that address past reliability concerns. This shift in consumer perception threatens GM's dominance in key segments. Once seen as a leader in the SUV and truck markets, GM now faces increased pressure to demonstrate that it can deliver vehicles free of recurring defects. The company's ability to win back trust will hinge on several factors, including transparent communication, robust warranty programs, and an accelerated rollout of product improvements. The stakes are particularly high for GM's electric vehicle strategy. Many early adopters of EV technology are already skeptical about traditional automakers' ability to offer both cutting-edge innovation and reliability. To compete with EV leaders like Tesla, GM must simultaneously resolve current crises and enhance its EV lineup with uncompromising build quality. While consumer trust is a major hurdle, GM's financial performance and investor sentiment play an equally critical role in shaping the company's future. Financial fallout and investor confidence. The fallout from GM's engine failure crisis has begun to shake investor confidence. Analysts have downgraded GM's earnings projections, warning that the costs of recalls, legal liabilities, and lost sales could place a significant strain on the company's bottom line. In January of this year, GM's stock price fell by nearly 10% following news of the investigation by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. GM has tried to reassure investors by emphasizing its long-term growth strategies, particularly in electric vehicles and autonomous driving technology. CEO Mary Barra has highlighted the company's plan to introduce multiple EV models over the next several years, a move designed to capture a larger share of the growing EV market. However, some investors remain skeptical, fearing that unresolved quality control issues in GM's internal combustion engine models may undermine consumer confidence across the entire brand. To offset these concerns, GM has announced a series of cost-cutting measures, including restructuring initiatives in underperforming markets like China. Additionally, the company is exploring strategic partnerships to reduce supply chain vulnerabilities, particularly those linked to the ongoing tariff disputes between the United States, Canada, and Mexico. These measures are intended to stabilize GM's finances while positioning the company to weather future economic headwinds. Still, the risk of further market volatility persists. If GM fails to adequately address the NHTSA's investigation, or if additional mechanical flaws come to light, investors may demand more drastic reforms, including changes in executive leadership or shifts in product strategy. As GM faces mounting pressure to resolve its internal crises, the company must now take a step back and redefine its overall strategy, one that ensures both survival and long-term competitiveness in the evolving automotive industry. Strategic overhaul, a plan for GM's survival. In the face of its worst reliability crisis in decades, General Motors has no choice but to rethink its entire corporate strategy. The fallout from the engine failures, particularly with the L87 V8 and the 5.3-liter models, has led to widespread customer dissatisfaction and increased scrutiny from regulatory agencies. At this moment of reckoning, GM must adopt a more comprehensive and aggressive approach to repair the damage. This requires improvements on multiple fronts: product quality, corporate transparency, and supply chain optimization. To begin with, GM must overhaul its quality control processes. Industry insiders have criticized the company for years over weak testing protocols, particularly related to its active fuel management technology. Moving forward, GM is expected to adopt more stringent testing cycles, focusing on engine durability under real-world conditions rather than relying solely on laboratory simulations. Additionally, the automaker is likely to invest heavily in artificial intelligence-driven analytics to monitor performance issues across its fleet in real time. Equally important is GM's decision to diversify its powertrain offerings. While V8 engines have been a cornerstone of its truck and SUV lineup, the current crisis has underscored the dangers of over-reliance on one technology. GM is accelerating its push toward hybrid and electric powertrains, viewing this pivot as a way to regain a leadership position in innovation. Furthermore, to mitigate future risks, GM may increase collaborations with suppliers to co-develop next-generation engines and battery systems, ensuring that quality control is enforced at every stage of production. Finally, CEO Mary Barra and other company executives have acknowledged the need for stronger engagement with stakeholders, including regulatory agencies, labor unions, and customers. GM has initiated a series of town hall meetings and press events to address concerns directly. However, these actions must go beyond symbolic gestures. Customers and industry experts want to see concrete actions. A failure to deliver could further damage GM's reputation. As GM envisions its recovery, lessons from competitors that have faced similar crises could provide a roadmap for redemption. Toyota's twin-turbo engine troubles. Toyota built a reputation for reliability with its long-lasting engines, particularly the 5.7-liter V8, which powered the Tundra and other models for years. However, as fuel efficiency regulations tightened globally, Toyota decided to replace the proven V8 with a new twin-turbocharged 3.5-liter V6 engine in the latest Tundra models. The shift promised improved fuel economy and better power output, but the real-world results revealed significant flaws. Owners reported multiple issues shortly after purchasing the twin-turbo models. Complaints included premature turbo failure, overheating under heavy loads, and engine management problems, particularly with software designed to regulate fuel injection and boost pressure. Many customers, particularly those using their Tundras for work or towing, were disappointed by the decreased durability. Some drivers experienced engine stalling or limp mode during critical operations. Toyota, known for addressing problems proactively, rolled out updates and extended warranties to cover turbo-related failures. However, these fixes came after early adopters had already encountered costly repairs, leaving some customers with a negative perception of Toyota's once unshakable reliability. In online forums, Tundra enthusiasts began lamenting the loss of the dependable V8, reminiscing about its ability to reach over 300,000 miles with regular maintenance. This scenario highlighted the risks automakers face when transitioning to new technologies without thoroughly ironing out reliability issues. While Toyota's overall brand strength helped it weather the storm, the company learned valuable lessons about balancing innovation with durability. While Toyota faced these mechanical setbacks, Ford was grappling with similar reliability problems due to its ambitious EcoBoost engine project. Ford's EcoBoost fiasco. Ford's EcoBoost line was marketed as a technological leap forward, combining turbocharging and direct fuel injection to deliver both power and efficiency. Initially, the 3.5-liter and 2.7-liter EcoBoost engines were well received, especially in popular models like the F-150, which became a bestseller in North America. However, trouble soon began to emerge as drivers reported numerous reliability issues. One major complaint involved excessive carbon buildup on the intake valves, a common problem in direct injection engines. This buildup led to performance degradation and engine misfires. Additionally, early EcoBoost engines were prone to oil leaks, particularly around the timing chain cover, and suffered from condensation issues in the intercooler, which caused sudden stalling during acceleration. Ford's warranty claims skyrocketed as frustrated customers experienced repeated breakdowns. Critics accused the company of rushing the technology to market without adequately addressing long-term reliability. To combat the backlash, Ford initiated a series of design changes in newer EcoBoost models. These included improved oiling systems, revised intercoolers to prevent condensation buildup, and dual fuel injection to reduce carbon deposits. Though Ford managed to reduce the frequency of major problems over time, the early EcoBoost failures left a mark on its reputation. Still, Ford demonstrated a commitment to improving its technology, eventually restoring some customer confidence through recalls and free service programs for affected vehicles. While Ford dealt with technical setbacks, Volkswagen found itself in a far more damaging situation, one rooted in corporate dishonesty and regulatory violations. Volkswagen's emissions scandal. In 2015, Volkswagen was at the center of one of the largest corporate scandals in automotive history. The company had installed illegal software in millions of diesel vehicles to cheat emissions tests, making it appear that their engines were compliant with environmental standards. In reality, these engines emitted up to 40 times the allowable levels of nitrogen oxides under normal driving conditions. The fallout was swift and severe. Regulators across multiple countries launched investigations, leading to multi-billion-dollar fines and a wave of lawsuits. Volkswagen's stock price plummeted, and trust in the brand was severely eroded. The scandal, often referred to as Dieselgate, tarnished the reputation of diesel technology and led to stricter regulatory scrutiny worldwide. To recover from the scandal, Volkswagen undertook a massive restructuring of its operations. The company pivoted aggressively toward electric vehicles, investing billions of dollars into the development of its ID series. Additionally, Volkswagen overhauled its corporate governance and implemented stronger compliance measures to prevent future ethical breaches. Over time, these efforts began to bear fruit. Volkswagen regained market share and earned praise for its bold move into EVs, positioning itself as a leader in the shift to sustainable transportation. However, Dieselgate remains a cautionary tale about the high cost of corporate misconduct. Volkswagen's crisis demonstrated the dangers of regulatory non-compliance, while Stellantis faced a different challenge, handling mass recalls across multiple brands without losing customer trust. Stellantis and recalls across brands. Stellantis, the multinational corporation formed from the merger of Fiat Chrysler and PSA Group, inherited a long history of product recalls, particularly with its American brands like Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. One of the most concerning issues involved Dodge Ram trucks, which faced recalls for faulty transmissions, defective gear shifters, and braking system malfunctions. A particularly notorious recall centered on a gear shifter design that confused drivers, leading to rollaway incidents. This defect caused numerous accidents and even fatalities, prompting Stellantis to issue multiple safety recalls and redesign the system. The company also faced criticism for electrical problems in Jeep models, which affected critical features like braking and steering assistance. Recognizing the importance of swift action, Stellantis strengthened its recall management procedures. The company expanded its dealer network to speed up repairs and launched public awareness campaigns to ensure affected owners brought their vehicles in for service. Additionally, Stellantis increased investment in quality control, aiming to prevent similar issues in future models. These efforts, while costly, helped Stellantis maintain a level of brand loyalty despite the challenges. By acknowledging its mistakes and committing to transparency, the company demonstrated that proactive customer engagement can mitigate the long-term impact of large-scale recalls. The lessons learned from these experiences underscore the importance of balancing innovation, cost control, and safety in automotive manufacturing. These case studies reveal that while no automaker is immune to setbacks, how companies respond can make all the difference in shaping their long-term success or failure. The rise of global competitors in the EV market. While GM grapples with engine failures and reputational damage, international automakers are capitalizing on the crisis to strengthen their foothold in key markets, including North America. Chinese brands like BYD and NIO have gained traction by offering affordable, technologically advanced electric vehicles that emphasize reliability and efficiency. These brands, once considered peripheral players, now pose a serious threat to legacy automakers. In Europe, Volkswagen has launched a multi-billion-dollar electrification strategy designed to challenge both GM and Tesla. By leveraging its extensive experience in manufacturing, Volkswagen aims to dominate the mass market EV segment with models like the ID.4 and ID Buzz. Similarly, Mercedes-Benz and BMW are targeting the premium EV market, offering high-performance electric sedans and SUVs that appeal to luxury consumers disillusioned by GM's reliability issues. In addition to product innovation, these global competitors have optimized their supply chains to reduce their vulnerability to geopolitical risks. For instance, many Asian automakers have diversified their sourcing of critical materials like lithium and cobalt, ensuring a more stable supply of EV batteries. This gives them a significant advantage over GM, which has faced repeated delays and setbacks in its EV production due to supply chain disruptions. Furthermore, global competitors are benefiting from favorable regulatory environments in their home countries. While the United States has struggled to maintain consistent policies on EV incentives, nations like China and Germany have provided robust support for their domestic industries. This allows companies like BYD and Volkswagen to invest more aggressively in research and development, accelerating their technological lead over GM. The question now is whether GM can pivot quickly enough to remain competitive. The company's current strategy emphasizes electrification, but without addressing its quality control failures, GM risks losing market share to these global rivals. However, survival in a competitive market is not just about beating international players. GM must also win back the trust of its core customer base. Rebuilding consumer trust, the final frontier. Perhaps the greatest challenge facing GM is not technological innovation or competition, but the erosion of consumer trust. For decades, GM has been synonymous with American automotive excellence, yet the recent wave of engine failures and public complaints has shaken that image. To regain its footing, GM must take decisive steps to reassure its customers that such failures will not happen again. One of the most effective ways to rebuild trust is through transparency. GM must openly communicate the findings of the ongoing NHTSA investigation and clearly outline the steps it is taking to prevent future issues. Offering extended warranties and free repairs for affected vehicles would also go a long way in restoring goodwill. Additionally, GM could launch a marketing campaign that emphasizes its renewed commitment to reliability, featuring testimonials from satisfied customers who have experienced improvements firsthand. Moreover, GM should expand its service and repair infrastructure to make it easier for customers to maintain their vehicles. This could include partnerships with independent repair shops, as well as investments in mobile repair services that bring technicians directly to customers' homes. Finally, GM must demonstrate that it can once again build vehicles that last. This may require a return to simpler, more robust engineering principles, especially for critical components like engines and transmissions. By striking a balance between modern technology and proven reliability, GM can reclaim its status as a trusted brand. If successful, GM's recovery could serve as a case study in crisis management for the entire automotive industry. However, time is of the essence. Every day that GM delays action risks further alienating customers and opening the door for competitors to capitalize on its mistakes. The road to recovery will not be easy, but by embracing transparency, innovation, and customer care, GM can turn this crisis into an opportunity for reinvention. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.